Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Hope you're having a fantastic day, and may peace be upon you. Thank you for joining us today with our show, and with me, your host, Dr. Izdihar Jamil. And today I have a very special guest who is Emmy Hernandez. She is a executive love coach, and she is also a #1 international best-selling author with Women Who Lead. So Emmy, let's say hello.
Hello, Dr. Izdihar. So happy to see you. I always love our conversations. And hello, everyone out there. We're excited to be here with you today.
Yay! And today, Emmy and I have a sensational topic to be talking about. We're going to be talking about love, or the art or the process of finding love. For those of you who don't know, like Emmy, that's her passion. That is her calling, to help women, especially highly successful professional women, to find the love rather than settling in. And it's also based on her personal experience as well, in going through several challenges, many tears along the way, and breaking through a non-healthy relationship as well. And then to the point of is it even worth it, right, Emmy? Is it even worth it going out there? Why don't I just settle? Why don't I just settle and be, settle in, or don't worry, I'll just be on my own kind of thing. So I wanted to touch base with you. Highly successful women, professional, who are, doing really well in their job, really doing really well in their business. What is that thing that they have that kind of like making it a little bit challenging for them to find their partner or their soulmate? Is it the way they look? Is it the way that they come across? Is it the way their accomplishments? What is it?
So, this is such a fascinating conversation, because it's one of those things where it's kind of a hidden thing, or it's not very obvious to most people that see it out in the world. So the reason I work with executive level and 7-figure women is because the system, or the steps that they have taken to build out their level of accomplishment in the business world do not apply to healthy love. I'm that here a little bit at the moment. So we have, just like in nature, we have feminine, masculine energy, right? We have testosterone, we have estrogen. Both men and women have different levels of estrogen and testosterone, right? So from a biological standpoint, we are wired chemically different as women. And what's so beautiful about women is that we can tap into different energies in a moment's notice. We can be speaking on stage like you, Izdihar, and be a TEDx speaker. And then as soon as you're done, you're holding on to your baby and you go into mom mode, right? So there's a version of you that's the TEDx speaker. Then there's a version of you that is mom. Then there's a version of you that's a lover, right? With your partner, that you two are teammates. So those versions of us as women, we have been socialized to believe in the last 30, 40 years that there's only one version of us, meaning that there's only the version of us that shows up on the TEDx stage. And that's not true. The version of us that shows up on TEDx stage and is an incredible boss and is an incredible leader in her community and is very high up in the corporate ladder, who is a best-selling author, she's incredible. I love her. And she also has another side to her. She also has a side to her that is very much like a little girl who is very playful and quirky and goofy and funny. But she has been told that side of her, shut that down. It has no place in business. And although it has no place in business, it has a place, but it has a place with herself and with her potential romantic partnerships. So what happens is when these 7-figure women go out to date into the world, they show up as the stage presence of herself. She shows up with the resume in hand, the list of my accomplishments. And in order for her to bring in healthy love, she needs to show up as the playful, quirky, goofy version of herself, because that's her true feminine core. Does that mean that we're putting the speaker to the side and the boss babe? No, absolutely not. We are one and the same, but this is the magic and power of polarity, the yin and the yang. You can flow into and out of whichever one serves your purpose at the time. So that's the biggest thing that women struggle with. And it's really coming from a place of just not knowing and misunderstanding of what success means. And that's why I created a signature system of replicable success for love. It is a system, but it's different than what is applied in business.
Yeah, that's absolutely spot on, Emmy, because, logically, like, it doesn't make sense that a lot of people don't know you can't be the businesswoman, the CEO in your relationship, because that's a totally different animal altogether in terms of your partner and the love, the connection. In any partnership, it is something different, right? The last thing your partner wants is for you to be bossing them around this is like the KPI of our marriage. I'm like, right. Nobody will, like you said, when you go on a date, you have this checklist or interview questions. I'm like I would get scared, like people asking me this interview question. All I care about is the food and the getting to know that person. I mean, at any time when you ask a question or interview someone, you get on it, right? You put up a wall that is like, oh my God, where I have to protect myself because I don't know if this is a safe place to me to share. So I want to talk you about this kind of idea because, I just saw a documentary reality show about what was it? The pods thing. What is it called? The love?
Yeah, it's called Love is Blind, I believe.
Love is Blind. So they would sit on this pod. They would talk to so many people without, they just hear their voice. Their voice is hosted by Nick Lachey and Vanessa Lachey. So they just hear their voice. And then if they feel that connection, then they will propose that person. And then they will go out in the real world. And then, oh my God, there's so many things that I'm interest me in that part. So I want to kind of touch base with you that sometimes, everything is honky-dory, rainbows and roses, but we all have flaws, right? We all have flaws. So how does someone who's the boss babe, who's this and that, kind of like deal with, sometimes we're so hard on ourselves, Emmy. We're so hard on ourselves, let alone to the other person, our life partner. So how can we kind of like witness our own weaknesses and difficulties and challenges, but actually embrace it and use it as the key, the bridge to having a beautiful relationship?
Yeah, so what I'm going to say is going to sound counterintuitive because most people don't understand this concept, and I'll explain it as we go in a little bit deeper. The women that I know who are extremely empowered and know who they are themselves and who are in very healthy relationships like yourself, like myself, like the clients that I coach, they have very strict boundaries in place. And it sounds like, wait, what? That you think that, you're an extremely loving person. So am I. The people that I coach, we're very much givers into the planet. So you would think that we just give, and we have no boundaries. I have boundaries even set up with my soulmate. So you might think, wait, what? With your own husband, there are boundaries? Absolutely. Let me tell you what that means and what that looks like. A woman who radiates from the inside out, okay, which is what I coach my clients to work through, is we work on the energetics and the spiritual side and the quantum physics of resonance and frequency. So everything we do is science-based, based on the law of attraction and quantum physics. None of it is woo-woo, like, ooh, I hope this stuff works. No, there's a system in place, right? Just like music, there's a resonance, there's a note. So because I'm an expert in that, I help my clients do that inside their body, just like a chiropractic adjustment, but we do energetic adjustments. The reason I bring that up is because the number one thing that women need to do in order to have not just the person of their dreams, like the right partner and the right team member, but in order for her to bring in everything she desires, is to figure out who is she, what does she actually like and want, not based on what she thinks the guy would want of her. This is what I see a huge mistake. Most of us as women, we have been trained to be malleable, to become something that we're not, so that the guy will like us. Oh, I hope he picks me. We actually had this conversation on our VIP call last night with my ladies. Like, I hope I get picked. I hope I get picked. We're like, whoa, hold on. We need to change the narrative here. It's like, no. Ladies, you are the prize, not from a place of arrogance, from a place of recognizing how amazing you are. And the more you say, I love this type of food, or I love this music, and I don't like going to concerts, and I don't like this, not from a place of being mean, but just knowing yourself, that the more you recognize who you are, the more you recognize what style you have as a sense of humor, the faster you will attract the right person. So here's the thing. There's no such thing as a perfect person, because we're not perfect. No human is perfect, but there is such a thing as a perfect match. Okay. There is such a thing as a perfect frequency. And I'll give you an example on, I see a lot of women tell me, like, why is it so hard to find just a cute guy with a great sense of humor? All I'm looking for is a guy with a great sense of humor. And I tell her, BS. She's like, what do you mean? I say, you don't want a guy with a great sense of humor. She's like, yes, I do. And I guarantee you don't. She's like, what do you mean? Like, yes, I do. I said, you want a guy with your sense of humor, not a sense of humor. There are a lot of different variations of senses of humor. That's why there are a lot of comedy movies that I do not like and others that I adore, right? There are so many comedians that are amazing to me and others that other people think are hilarious that I don't think are funny. So this is what I mean around what is it that you actually like, right? And to not pretend that you like something because you think the other person will like you more. What's so fascinating about high quality men and high quality women is that they respect each other's differences and do not expect you to like everything that the other person likes. I don't like the music that Matt listens to. He doesn't like the music that I listen to. We listen to our own music in our own vehicles. Ta-da! There's a level of respect there. And nobody says anything bad about the other one. And this is where I think people get mixed up. They mix up what core values are, like really true alignment of important things versus interest. Having different interests in life don't really need to be in alignment, because you need to have independent lives that then come together, but you need to continue to have independent lives in order to have a healthy relationship as a team. Yeah.
Absolutely spot on. Like, it's like the puzzle, right? The puzzle may not, where does it fit? The puzzle. And, you're so on point in saying that, this is what I want. This is what I don't like. This is what, makes me laugh, makes me happy and excited. And this is what my partner likes or doesn't like. And I think the key of that, Emmy, is kind of be accepting of that. And rather than trying to fix it, right? Rather than to fix yourself or trying to fix your husband, it's gonna go nuts. Like, one of the things for me, I don't like doing dishes and I don't like doing the grocery shopping. I just don't like it. I just don't like it. So my husband takes care of it. My husband reads out. So I would give him a list. He would always, okay, do you have a list? And I make a list. Sometimes he has to go, bless him, to 2 shops, sometimes 3 shops, depending on what we're cooking on that day. And then, sometimes at Costco, and then we have to go to the farmer's market, and then we have to go to the halal shop. So he does that. He does the grocery shopping. He does the dishes for me, and I cook. I cook. I take care of the breakfast and the lunch. And, I don't like throwing the trash out. I just don't. So he does that for me, but I make up the bed. He doesn't make up the bed. So I make up the bed. And that is okay, right? Like, that is like kind of like, we could go to friction and blow it up because of this insignificant things. But you're saying like, this is the real life of it. This is like the real life of, I'm married almost 20 years now. Don't start counting my age now. Okay, darling. Like,
know you were married for, that's amazing.
Thank you. Almost 20 years, not quite yet. But like I said, some people, did you get married at 10? And like, no, I didn't get married at 10 or 16 years old. But it takes something to kind of have that. In the beginning, it was a friction, right? Because I'm like, oh, this, that. You know what? That's okay. Like, this is what I love doing. This is what you love doing. And now we figure out how it's going to work. And it's always a working progress. And I want to talk to you about this click that people feel as if, I found the right one and that's it, right? That is kind of like the end of everything. But darling, the moment you said I do is when
that's when it starts. Yeah.
it's when it starts, because the movies lies to you. Happily ever after starts the moment you said I do. It's not the build up. Obviously the build up is also part of the process. So the moment you said I do, Emmy, let's talk about that process, right? I know some of the listeners are kind of like still looking for their soulmate, but this is what we want to talk about, the reality of the moment that you said, I do. What are some of the things that they want to be prepared for the moment that they said that I do?
Yes, this is such an important, critical part of the conversation because this is where a lot of people go wrong. And again, the movies do us a disservice because it ends at, and they lived happily ever after, right? It's like 10 like all done. It's like, no. Like that's when things start to happen, right? So there is something and here's what's so powerful is that I've seen couples who haven't lived together. I've seen couple before they got married. I've seen couples who have lived together and who have had, some time living together, but something still changes when there is that level of commitment of the I do. Okay? That level of commitment is so important, so powerful. Some people don't care for it. That's totally fine. Everyone's different. But those of us who have gone through that, I need you to know that the level of commitment for each side needs to be so powerful in this, where you need to be stubborn enough. This is where it's funny, stubborn enough and to love your partner enough to know when there are some things that you can fix or ditch. Okay. That's what I talk about with couples. And here's why I bring that up, Dr. Izdihar, is because some couples just really need some strategies for daily communication. And they just didn't know. And by the way, ladies, the male brain and the female brain, not the same. We were lied to. We are not equal. Are we equitable? Yes. Okay. But the more we keep thinking that we're the same, we're harming ourselves. I'll give you an example. One of the things that I make it a point to the best of my ability, am I perfect? No. I make it a point to the best of my ability to not have my husband be psychic. He cannot guess what I'm thinking. This Saturday will be the 21st. We got married on August 21st. So far, we've done an okay job at celebrating on the 21st. So it'll be our 9-month anniversary. We count month anniversaries. Okay. Any chance we get to celebrate. So it turns out it's on the weekend. So here's what most women do. And this is where they cause each other harm. And we do it because we've been socialized to do it, not because we really want to. So here's what happens, Dr. Izdihar. We're girlfriends, right? And I call you and be like, and you probably will remember, most girlfriends are really good about remembering dates and be like, oh my God, Emmy, like you're having your month anniversary come up on the 21st. Yeah. How's it? Like, oh, I know. I really hope Matt remembers we have a whole weekend. Like, I hope he's got something cool planned for us, right? So this is a conversation between girlfriends. They bring none of this up with their husband. The date comes and she's waiting. And we see this in movies and in shows all the time. What's today? Right? We say it in sitcom, what's today? And he's like, Thursday, Saturday? Right?
Yeah.
What's today? Right? And she just gets more and more upset. So the day after, now she's really upset. Now she's giving him the silent treatment. He's like, what's happened? What's wrong? What did I do? And finally she exposes that, he forgot the anniversary and he forgot this and he doesn't care. What was me? And all this drama. All of that can be averted and avoided by simply communicating with your partner. So what did I do? This is happening right here. I'm giving you a real life example, ladies. I texted my husband on Monday. And mind you, I put all of these dates on my calendar because if they're not on my calendar, even I forget. Okay.
Yes.
So I told my husband on Monday, hey, honey, guess what? It's our 9-month wedding anniversary on Saturday. Do you want to take me out do you want to take your wife out on a date night or a date day? Kissy face, right? Question mark. And he's like, oh, that's right. That's amazing. Yes. Let me plan something for us. Right. So notice there's 2 parts to that. It was a reminder and also a request, because if it had just been a reminder, he would have been like, oh yeah, that's awesome. And then I would have been hoping, I hope he takes me out on a date. I hope he plans something. Then I requested, do you want to take me out? Right. So it's kind of like a flirty way of talking. He's like, yeah, let me plan something. Right. So this is the part where, and we've known each other for 5 years. So this isn't like yeah, I only do that in the beginning or forever. This is a forever thing, ladies. This is a forever thing. This is what it means to have healthy communication with your partner, to clearly say what you want and what you need because what most women have been taught to do is let's test him. Let's test him. And who loses when our partner gets tested? Everyone loses. We lose, they lose, the kids lose, everyone's upset. But if you plan ahead and plan accordingly, that level of advanced communication is one of the key things that I like to teach couples, Dr. Izdihar, because especially when there's that level of commitment of being married, something happens in the female brain that makes her feel even more vulnerable and wants her man to be 100% psychic and just know what she wants or needs all the time. And I'm going to tell you right now, honey, he does not. It doesn't matter how much he loves you. You need to tell him what you want and what you need, including which gifts. You can have a list of gifts ongoing and send him Amazon links, but talk to him about it. Don't just send him things and say, oh, these are hints. That's not how it works.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that I've been guilty upon, right? The sidekick thing. Oh, yeah, he's just going to know. He's just going to know what to do and this and that. It causes upsets within me, because obviously one of the causes of upset is undelivered communication. That is one of the biggest causes of upsets, or, in marriage upsets is undelivered communication. So it's like, and then I'm like, oh, and then, oh, okay, then. So sometimes you like, obviously in my heart, I wish that he can know what I want. That's kind of like what any woman wants. But it'd be easier to just like, hey, babe, can we, for my birthday, like, for the dinner, like, okay, where do you want to go? I want to go to Chinese. I want to go to Chinese food. So he just drive me and the kids to the Chinese place. That's like which Chinese restaurant, that one. I want to go to Nomad, that Chinese restaurant, because, I like the food. So, and I told him, oh no, but then, the kids, because I have a baby. So I'm going to be really stressful with Rayhan. I can't eat whatever. And then he was like, don't worry, I'll take care of Rayhan. You just eat. I'm like, okay. So that is like, that's one thing less. It's just, it took me years to understand what you say now. And had I known this tip early on, it would save me so much. Oh, it would give me so much happiness, right? But I had to learn over the years. And this is not just the part where you say, I do and sign a contract. When you say, I do, I want to be in a relationship with this person, right? I want to be in what Amy and I, like people who be in a committed relationship with one another, not any kind of other relationship, a committed relationship with one another. The moment you say, yes, I want to be with this person, whether you sign the dotted line or not, but it starts from there, the communication, the commitment. So if we were to backtrack a little bit, Emmy, just before we get to that place, jumping into the dating world, because that's how people get to meet and, people as well. So this is like a new space for me, because I didn't date, and I was introduced to my husband by my auntie. So my husband was my auntie's student at high school. So talk about this dating world, or at least the safety or the red flags or the green flags that women need to look for when you're going into I know, like before you mentioned, for your own safety, never, ever, ever do this thing, right? Never, ever, ever do this one thing. But at the same time, this is also like a green flag that you can look for. So let's kind of like hash it out, a couple of those.
Yeah, sure. So I'll tell you, and I know exactly which red flag you're talking about. So I'll talk about the safety one first and then go into the green flags. So thank you for bringing that up. So the number one rule I would never want you to break this. I have a lot of sort of gray area when it comes to dating, and that's why I have VIP clients. But this one, no gray area, no matter what. When you're going to meet someone for the very first time, even if they're introduced to you by someone else, never, ever, ever, ever go to their house for first date, even if they're offering to make you dinner. Mm-hmm. I don't care what that is. Just don't break that rule. Okay. Mm-hmm. And even if you're like, oh, well, so-and-so knows them. So this isn't even really around of safety, an issue of like, you might be hurt, although that's a possibility. It's that it's breaking a boundary. Remember, you're going into someone else's territory. You want to be going into neutral territory where you can feel safe to share who you are and be vulnerable. And if you need to excuse yourself after 5-10 minutes or 30 minutes or an hour, you're able to leave easily and effortlessly. And it's difficult when you're in someone else's home or area. Okay. So that's a huge safety thing, that no matter what, please, please, please. And you're probably thinking, well, of course, I wouldn't do that. You would be surprised how many women I coach where they're on Bumble, they're on Hinge, they're on Tinder, and they're like, oh, Emmy, this guy, I've been talking to him for a week. He seems really cool. He finally asked me out. He's making me dinner. What? At his place? Yeah. What's the big deal? Like, no, right? So there are many, many times women will get caught up in that sort of like the romance of it all. And it's like,
yes,
just break that rule, right? So it's very easy to like say thank you for that offer. Like, oh, thank you so much for that for that offer. Is it okay if we meet at a coffee shop or somewhere else first?
Yeah.
And here's where you know if the guy is dangerous or not, because him just offering that up is not necessarily a red flag. Okay. That's just sort of like, but this is where us as women, we need to establish those boundaries. So you say, oh, thanks for that offer. Can we meet at, and give him some options for some public places first? And his response will matter. So if he says, no, sorry, that's too much work, too far away, block him, move on. Obviously, does not have any concern or respect for you. But a guy that says, oh yeah, absolutely, what's a good time to meet? Or is this place closer to you? Whatever. So his response will matter. So that is a green flag and a good sign if he is honoring your boundaries and honoring your sort of spatial awareness. Okay. What's also very important in green, and that I would say is a green flag. Let's say you're chatting with let's talk about the first green flag. That seems kind of like silly.
Yeah.
Tinder Swindler. Okay. The Tinder Swindler is a phenomenal documentary of a gentleman that swindled a lot of women on Tinder. So go check that out. And this is the very first red flag that when I did a training on this with 15 women on the line, none of them saw this. I mean, I'll tell you exactly what it is. And you're going to be like, what? That's so stupid. It's so silly. Yes. You ready for it? Okay. Here it is. When someone sends you a message and just says, hi or hello without your name in it, that means it's just copying and pasting on someone or on hundreds of people's sites, or it might be a bot. Okay. You might be like, wait, what? Forget that. Do not ever start a conversation with someone that doesn't have, and let's say it's not even a bond. If someone doesn't have the time to write your name, that's right there that you put in the profile, what kind of person do you think they are? Do you think they'll have time for you later on? They're showing you the lack of respect they have for you already from that first message.
Absolutely. And also like using this endearment, right? The hey love, hey darling, hey sweet.
Oh, yes.
I obviously Emmy and I, we've known each other, so I'm like, hey darling. I mean, obviously because I know I'm talking to Emmy, and there are times when I call her name, but there are people who like, hey love, hey darling, hey baby, whatever it is, like on the first. What Emmy is talking about is the first few instances,
Correct.
not after that. So the first few instances, like and then like they can't even spell your name correctly, and then they start because they're talking to so many people, and which one is this? They're so common. Like, no, we're not one of the numbers.
Exactly.
We're not one of the numbers. We're me, or Emmy, and Izdihar. We're with that person. If that person can't distinguish you from love, darling, or sweetheart, or baby, whatever that is, it's not going to find the time to kind of get to know you. Because how you do everything is how you do anything, isn't it? So having that sense of awareness, because some people say, oh, she calls me baby, but when you look at the text, it's never called your name once.
Right. Yeah, you're one of 20 babies in his book.
So let's wrap up this conversation, Emmy. So let's wrap up with this final question. We are moving forward now. A lot of things are changing in the environment. We're just starting to come up with the pandemic. People are getting excited to meet, to the meet and greet, and everything. They got starting to get ready. Some of them are like already thinking the clothes, the physical appearance, what have you not, the guy. What is kind of like the most beneficial thing that people can use or they can know as they're coming out of the pandemic and kind of like in the process of finding their soulmate? Because I feel like nowadays they just want right now. I want to right now, click the Amazon button and then you have your soulmate delivered. So what's your advice coming from the pandemic? People are traveling now. People are meeting up. People don't have to wear masks if they don't want to. So what's the biggest advice that you have that is going to be most beneficial to our ladies?
Yes. The one piece of advice that I have for you that's most beneficial is your filtering system, because it is a system. And because a lot of ladies tell me, Emmy, I've been on so many first dates. And they all suck. I'm like, well, that just tells me that your filtration process is bad. Are you going to go on a lot of first dates? Yeah, but some of them are going to be second. Some of them are going to be third dates, but they shouldn't all suck. You're going to have some first dates that went great, but it just wasn't a romantic match. So we got to backtrack a little bit. So what that tells me is, and this is how most people do their profile. So let's say on Bumble, I'll tell you what I train my clients to do versus what most people do is on their Bumble or Hinge or Tinder profiles or even on Match. So many people will write the list of non-negotiables and deal breakers. And I don't like this and I don't like that. So And don't swipe on me if X, Y, and Z. So don't be a Debbie Downer. Don't be a complainer on there. Write the things that you do want. So for example, when I see someone that writes, don't be a cheater, my first instinct is like, oh, she's got a lot of healing work to do because I know she got messed over by a cheater, right? Like that's just by default. So instead of that, you can have your private list of the things that you want, someone that's faithful, someone that follows your similar religion, that has core values. So you have things that are private to you and to your girlfriends and maybe your coach, and then the things that you put out into your actual profile. So make your profile fun, playful. Let them know a little bit about your favorite restaurants in town. Let them know a little bit about your favorite movies, because remember, you want them to have a similar sense of humor. So let's say, for example, you love The Office. It's one of my favorite shows that I will watch on repeat over and over. But if this person that potentially is on there and they absolutely detest The Office and they can't stand it, the conversation is not going to go much further than that. So I'd rather you allow yourself to have that playful sort of version of yourself, favorite foods, maybe your favorite country that you've traveled to. Don't make a list of all the places you've been to. If you've traveled a lot, like I did, you don't want to then turn it into a freaking Wikipedia page of where you've gone. Talk about one of your favorite things. Okay. So make it light, fun, happy, playful. The captions that are on there, some of the Bumble ones will trick people. What I mean by that is they're too serious. Don't be serious on your profiles. Okay. I want you to take yourself seriously. And yes, love is serious, but your profile is meant to capture your essence, your play, your fun. This is not LinkedIn. It is not an interview process. It's not your resume. So don't think that by saying, oh, well, I'm looking, to get married within the next 6 to 8 months. If that's not you, then bye. That puts a lot of pressure on someone. And if you think that's a filtration process, it's doing the opposite, because what that's doing is showing that you're too much in control and you're maybe too arrogant and too controlling. And no quality, healthy man is ever going to want to be with a controlling woman. Okay. You need to be able to have the freedom, just like you want the freedom to be who you are.
Yeah, that is beautiful advice, and kind of show the goofy side of you that you're talking about in the beginning. The goofy, I remember one of the things you told me about, you like Minions, the one with the yellow thing with with eye. And I still remember it till today. We had that conversation months ago, and I still remember it. So it just shows that you're a fun person. You're okay to have Minions are a little bit silly, isn't it? With the one eye, and they can be a little bit something my kids think is a bit scary because it just has one eye and boing 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 going that way. But so what a wonderful conversation that we have today, Emmy. And you and I, we can talk the whole day, the whole night, literally. So what is the best place for people to come and find out about you?
Yes. So the best place is my website. My team checks all the messages on there. So emmyhernandez.com. And you'll have access to all of my socials on there. Facebook, I'm everywhere. Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. But my website is probably the easiest. So emmyhernandez.com. And there's tons of things that you can download there for free on your journey. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you. And keep following my stuff. I put out a lot of free content. And if you're ready to do this journey with some help, then I'd love to chat with you about that as well.
Absolutely. So emmyhernandez.com, that's the best place for people to find her, and you've got all her socials there. I'm still waiting, darling, for that TikTok dance, right? I'm still waiting for that TikTok dance.
Oh my goodness. I know. I started TikTok, but I'm not good on getting on the TikTok train. One of these days I'll send a video. I dance all the time. I do silly dances all the time. Right now they're private for my husband, and they're not even sexual. They're just silly things that I do. I haven't put them on TikTok yet.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everybody who are listening. And if you want to share your voice on prestigious platform, whether it's been a best-selling author, TV, magazine, Forbes, or TED, check out izdiharjamil.com. This is your host, Dr. Izdihar Jamil. And tell yourself, yes, I can. And so it is done. Right, Emmy, darling, let's say goodbye. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.